everything was fine, but she could tell something had changed. Then came a phone call that, looking back, has become one of the most important parts of the family story. So her mother says that Brooke was crying uncontrollably. Says that she had swollen. Around the same time, between Willis and Brooke,
troublemaker.
things were right, and that she needed to get out of Dubai. So the organization also said that Brooke became concerned that she learned pretenses. So
knocking over my
stuff released by investigators supporting this claim. So I mean, regardless of whatever was happening behind the stories,
loves
it's
you.
clear that at least at this point, the relationship Brooke had described as the time of her life.
Come on.
She claimed immediately in arm's reach. And William then lost his life after being stabbed. But the question is, Brooke says she acted in self-defense because she believed that she was in danger. Dubai prosecutors, however, have charged her with premeditated murder. And that's where this case becomes very difficult to look at. Publicly, authorities haven't really explained what evidence led to them to conclude that the crime was premeditated. They haven't released a detailed account of the incident or out the theory charge, and they're also pursuing one of the most serious criminal charges possible, law. After the crime, Brooke made her way to the Dubai International Airport to board a flight back to London that had been arranged with the help of friends, but she never got on that plane. And in the early hours of June 22nd, she was stopped by authorities and arrested. Before long, she was formally charged with premeditated and taken into custody. Brooke's family says that when she was arrested, she still had from the claim happened.
It's very, very different. Family, this organisation detained. She hasn't had access to a book. She's been forced to sign things she doesn't understand. Even in her battered and bruised state, she was strip searched in a room. Some of them still need this process, so it's not the standard of justice in the process that you get over here.
And these allegations have not been publicly addressed by the U.S. authorities or case for Commonwealth and Development Office has only said that it's assisting a British woman detained in the UAE, supporting her family and community. And as news of this case spread, people online quickly decided. Some looked at the headline, her accused of stabbing her boyfriend, and assumed the case was over, shut. But I don't think this case is that straightforward, because once you look into this, it's a way bigger mess than what I guess the influencer headline seems like, which is why I wanted to cover the story. Obviously, you have to consider injuries, her family's account, and the allegations of abuse. The argument on one side is that the investigators should be treating her as a possible victim of domestic violence rather than assuming that she was the aggressor here. The problem is the public still doesn't have very many answers that would help make sense of a case like this. Like, we haven't seen any evidence other than the side of the story. And honestly, without that, it's hard to understand how investigators came to this conclusion. As journalists started digging into both and Williams' backgrounds, more information about William started coming out. So, according to reports in the UK, the 26-year-old had previously been convicted in 2023 of raping and common assault. He also got a suspended prison sentence for it. He was also reportedly to stand trial next year as one of the several people charged following a kidnapping investigation into conspiracy to supply, contraband. Some of that white powder and the leaf. Obviously, I want to be careful here because this is important. None of that really tells us what happened inside that apartment. Obviously, just having a criminal doesn't mean that someone automatically was the aggressor here, but also at the same time, it's also a part of the public record, and it's one of the reasons some people argued that Brooke's allegations deserve to be investigated rather than just simply dismissed. And obviously, Williams' family are also dealing with a tragedy of their own. His sister wrote that he wasn't just her brother, but also her best friend. His mother said that she was broken and promised that her family would keep his memory alive. This is all just an important reminder that regardless of how this case ends, one dude lost his life, and another is now sitting in a Dubai jail awaiting trial with the worst possible punishment hanging over. Now, this case moves into a phase where the courts, not social media, decide which version of events is supported by the evidence. And this is currently where we're stuck, because Brooke, she's a 23-year-old woman who's now herself stuck in the UAE with this possible charge. If she's ultimately convicted of this charge, reports say that she could face by firing squad. That's crazy, and absolutely not something you hear every day. Obviously, that's worst case scenario, but regardless of what she gets, she's still potentially facing the rest of her life in jail. And she's currently claiming self-defense. She's 23 years old. She's thousands of miles from home. Her entire future now depends on what decides happened during inside of one apartment. So whether you this version of this or think prosecutors have evidence the public hasn't seen yet, I think this is an awful situation to be in. And this is why I think this case deserves to be looked at very carefully instead of reduced to just a headline. Which is, again, why I wanted to create this video. Because, again, the headline is just so shocking. Currently, still in custody in Dubai. Her and her family, they're raising money for legal costs while trying to get a representation in the UAE. And the government has confirmed that it's in contact with local authorities and is providing support. If this case does go to trial, the court will answer the question that everyone online has already been arguing about. Was this deliberate, or was this an act of self-defense? Right now, we have no idea to know. It'd be a special kind of stupid, though, to travel to the UAE and commit premeditated. But again, currently, we're sitting with Brooke's side of the story. But obviously, as more evidence comes out, the picture could easily change. There may be witness statements, forensic evidence, phone records, or even surveillance footage. But for now, still saying that she acted in self-defense. And prosecutors maintain that she committed premeditated. And I guess, again, until more information is made public, that's really where this case stands. So hey, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
This killer YouTuber story that everyone missed, it's back in the news for a shocking reason. The democratic socialism and explosive diarrhea parasite outbreak spreading in this country. Mr. Live monster squads in front of kids. We're talking about even more. Today's brand new show you daily down into the news. Starting this. This is just crazy, horrifying, heartbreaking news. And diving right back into something that's just crazy, horrifying, and heartbreaking. At the center of the story, a man who has become the, quote, most hated man in prison, and he's trying to get out because he's scared for his life. I do not think that pretty much anyone is going to feel sympathy for him. Because I'd like you to meet Stephen McCullough. He's a YouTuber from Northern Ireland, has some 40,000 subscribers. Seemingly the reason he's the most hated man in prison, and the reason he is serving life in prison right now is because 4 years ago, he murdered his pregnant girlfriend, Natalie McNally. Right, he's now appealing conviction, with sources saying he lives in terror every day with a giant target on his back. To understand that and where it goes from here, we have to go back to the beginning, which is in December of 2022. Because less than a week before Christmas, Stephen goes over to Natalie's house and he finds something out of a nightmare. Natalie has been beaten, stabbed in the neck. There are signs of strangulation. Just everything is awful. He says he frantically calls emergency services, telling the operator that there's just so much blood, that Natalie is 15 weeks pregnant, but it's cold. And while the police, they bring him in for questioning, he says it couldn't have been him that killed her because he was streaming on YouTube for 6 hours during the murder. But he was playing GTA and what titled the Violent Night Christmas Live gaming stream. He apparently had some tech, so he couldn't see the live chat or use his phone, but he spends the night drinking and gaming and shouting and having a good overall. At the end, he even gets sentimental about the real meaning of Christmas season.
I think the message rings true that Christmas, it's not about the shopping, it's not about the lights, like crap. It's literally just about having some joy, spending time with the people that you love.
But then Natalie's case starts getting more and more attention. People start asking questions, thinking there's something just fishy about Stephen's story. And by the end of January 2023, police bring Stephen right back in, saying that their cyber team went through his devices and found there was no user-generated content the night of December 18th when Natalie was murdered. So meaning that there was no way he was actually alive. Said he was. Turns out he would in his stream a few days earlier, which explains his so-called technical issues with the live chat. He just set the whole thing up to look like he was live that night when he was, which then also, it gives a few of the clips from that stream a whole vibe.
It's like you're that's what happened on the app stuff. Not like absolutely nothing.
And so naturally, he gets charged with murder, and trial, you have prosecutors swooping in, even more damning evidence. And the night Natalie was killed, CCTV footage catches a man that the prosecution says was Stephen leaving his neighborhood bag and taking the bus to Natalie's house. He then gets there around 8:50 p.m., and that's the last time anyone saw Natalie alive. But then, half an hour after he showed up, Stephen leaves his house,